Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack. Sports, life, and everything in between. Hodge here. Josh is, we think, on his way. Misty is out on some vacation celebrating, as you remember last week, Ethan, her son, graduating. And so she's out enjoying some sun. And so excited. Last week we had a familiar voice to the big country. Today we continue that theme into the summer as we've got a familiar voice. I'll introduce him in a moment. But jam-packed show. We've got some guests. We're going to reach out to our pest control phone line and check out on the folks as the Buffalo Run Challenge started yesterday evening, and now they are rolling and cannonball rolling. And so we'll call them a little bit later on in the show and see how hopefully the pitter patter is still pitter pattering across Kansas and making its way. FCA All-Star Week is coming up, which is fitting for our guest hosts that you'll hear here in a moment. A little bit later on, Jamie Calvary and Zach Flores will join us as our Big Country Electric My Town segment to talk FCA football, FCA All-Star Week, which has exploded since the last time this guy that you're about to hear was here. It's continued to grow, and so they'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. Josh, like I said, will make it. I'm going to be Misty's bag. We're going to get a question for Andy and Josh. So we're going to keep it going. But joining us this morning, again, last week we had Trace Michaels, familiar voice. And now, really, this morning, until Josh gets here, a lot of familiar voice that you're going to hear for HU folks. And until Josh gets here, Wally Bulldog fans. Joining us, Andy Penny from Wiley Independent School District. Andy, appreciate you being here this morning.
I appreciate the invite. You are scraping the bottom of the barrel this week. I'm just going to say that. The level of class, Misty still being out, that's tough to touch anyway. But appreciate the invite, man. Always good to talk sports and what you guys do. And, yeah, appreciate the invite. Here we go.
Yeah, so a lot to cover. Of course, those that know, Andy and I, we this year got to be the voice of the Wiley Bulldogs on Friday nights and sometimes Thursdays, and had a lot of fun with it. We found out literally the day before the
Yes.
first game, and took off and had a couple of playoff wins, and it was a lot of fun.
Funny story. I'm going to throw this one out because we found out the day before. I don't know if you remember, our first game was in Brownwood, and we had found out on Thursday before Friday. And I remember you already had your fantasy football draft scheduled for that Friday. So kudos to you, because not only were you calling the game, but you were filling out your roster for fantasy football last
I
year.
actually kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
That is true. I remember texting Tracy that Friday morning and say, hey, because we were going to go to watch Jim Ned and Holly. Of course, state champions ended up blowing out Jim Ned. And I texted Tracy and said, hey, do you think you and your grandmother would want to go to Brownwood? I think I got a gig. And then we ended up going and of course, had a fun season and looking forward to doing it again, season number 2. And we were talking yesterday. I know it's frustrating for coaches and teachers and stuff because when you start thinking about it, yes, summer started, school is out for summer like the song says, but before you know it, coaches will be going to coaching school in 2 days will be right here.
Well, it's here. I mean, 2 months away from 2 days, and yeah, coaching school is there at the end of July. And well, it's crazy to think August the 31st they'll play the first game in August, and that'll be week 0, quote unquote week 0, first game of the year for high school football. It'll be here before we know it. One of the best times of the year. No
Right.
doubt. The anticipation leading up to that's always fun, and we'll put the headsets on again for year number 2. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and so again, we'll keep rolling. Again, Andy working now for Wiley had spent some time with FCA, and you're very familiar with what Jamie and Zach are going to be talking about with the All-Star game coming up, and just really how the big country FCA has kind of grown from where, okay, all right, Coach Keenum is taking this on, and we got, hey, let's do a football game, into now what big country FCA really is. And it'll be good to have Zach and Jamie to talk about what next week really all entails. And I know Hardcastle's taking over kind of where your role, and it's a busy week for a lot of folks next week.
Yeah, I think the stress level right now for those guys is high. Been there, but the reward on the backside of that is so much higher than the stress level. But they're a week away with all those games next Friday and Saturday. It'll be fun. I think, man, almost 350 athletes from across the big country. It'll be interesting, entertaining when we hear.
And I will tell you, that is one thing people ask. A guy yesterday asked if I miss coaching, and there are parts of coaching I miss. And one of the things I do miss, and I think maybe if you stayed in a little bit longer, one, it didn't come into play till a little bit later, but getting the opportunity to coach in the basketball FCA game would have been something that would have been a very rewarding thing to do. But again, a lot of coaches getting to be participants, a lot of high school athletes getting to play one more time, whether it's swinging a golf club, hitting, throwing a football, or anything like that. So we'll talk to those guys a little bit later. But want to dive into our Long Saw headline report, and one of those we'll kick off with a guy that coached in the FCA All-Star game, Sammy Winters and the Hermley Lady Cardinals winning the state championship yesterday, 9-0. You know, as a guy that was in some playoff games where you were winning, you know, like, all I need that clock is to get to 0. And I'm sure when he was up 9-0 and all the things, and poor Dehannes, the team they were playing, they'd had some. I was watching it on NFHS on my iPad at work, still working, but was watching, and there was a couple of close calls that the umpire was having a rough day. But anyway, congratulations to Hermley, Coach Winters, and state championships matter at every classification. But when you're at a school like Hermley, who's knocked on the door in basketball, knocked on the door in softball, and finally getting it done, winning that state championship. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, Hodge, I think I heard the other day that's the first ever state championship in Hermley school history, which is absolutely fantastic.
And Trace and I talked about it last week. That community's changed. And facility-wise and coaching-wise and all that, they've just really made themselves a very competitive program. And not only they do a good job, Coach Winters does a good job in football, they do a good job in boys basketball. Of course, Coach Hopper in Hermley was still very competitive even this year with him departing. And so congratulations to them. And then another, not quite big country, but another team that won one yesterday was the Oklahoma Lady Bulldogs, winning a state championship. Another team that had been down there knocking on that door and finally winning them a state championship yesterday in softball as well. Holly Bearcats baseball season comes to an end yesterday as a result of New Home sweeping that series. So big country news there. Want to dive into, again, Dallas Stars lose last week, come up short against Vegas. So the Stanley Cup finals are set. Vegas and Florida. Florida kind of on the not hot seat in a bad way, but a very hot sports area right now, with the Panthers advancing as the dark horse, if you will, upsetting the Bruins, getting all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So they'll start that, I believe, tomorrow night. And then the Miami Heat, starting to wonder if the Cinderella slipper is starting to fade away. Last night, game 1 of the NBA Finals, Denver still one of those, probably, I'm really doing really good. Why do y'all not appreciate me more? We have the best player in the league, which is not LeBron James. It's not Kevin Durant, but it is the Joker, who, again, had another triple-double last night as Denver wins game 1, 104-93 over the Heat. Another triple-double, Jamal Murray having 26, Aaron Gordon big with 16 last night, and Jimmy Butler only 13 points. And the Heat cannot do if that is what Butler does.
Yeah, Jimmy's going to have to carry him, and he did not last night. The plus-minus when he was on the floor was -17, which is not good for him, but just 13 points. And I just wonder how good of a series this is going to be. I just don't know if Miami has anything left in the tank. When you think about what they've had to do, of course, now you have these play-in games as the 8th seed, so they had to start the playoffs early, 2 games just to get in. And it's been a nice run, but coming off of what they had to do versus Boston, have a 3-0 lead, it gets back to even. They went on the road, an emotional game, of course, a rivalry with Boston. There's no history with Denver.
No.
There's no history.
Well, it's the first time in Denver history, probably the most famous playoff game that I can remember is when Dikembe Mutombo upset the Denver Nuggets, I believe, the Sonics that year, and he's on the ground holding the ball of excitement. That's probably the most famous series that most people remember the Denver Nuggets. And it reminds me a little bit, you talked about having to play in and then the emotion of being up 3-0 and that slipping away and then having to win Game 7 in Boston in a great fashion that they did. And it's because I'm a golfer, but it reminds me a little bit of Michael Block. Michael Block had this big, exciting PGA championship, and then all the interviews for 48 hours, finding out, hey, let's go ahead and wash those clothes because we're heading to Fort Worth, and I didn't pack for 2 weeks, and then I get to Fort Worth and I have to play again in another level and totally struggle.
Yeah.
And I just think part of that may be running out of gas and running out of energy. And so that takes place last night, game 1. Again, Denver taking care of it. Still undefeated at home, and there's a real good chance that the Cinderella slipper of the Miami Heat is becoming uncomfortable. Yesterday, also this week, NBA news, Monty Williams, fired as the Suns coach, gets hired on by the Detroit Pistons for a 6-year, $78.5 million coaching deal, the largest deal in NBA history for coaches. He was a coach here in 22, took the team to the finals in 21, and in 23 gets canned. Wasn't healthy all year. Yes, you got Durant, but Chris Paul was hurt. I just think it's interesting, and I'm telling you, if you follow Monty Williams much at all, pretty solid Christian guy. Lost his wife in a car wreck. Lost his wife a couple years ago, and still trucking along. Just always seems to be one of those guys that you want to root for. And I really hope if there's any success in the NBA next year outside the Mavs, I would love to see it in Detroit.
I agree with that. And you're seeing a few of these. Doc Rivers gets fired in Philadelphia. Same thing here. I think there's some reactionary decisions that are made because your teams don't win. Phoenix was tough. Kevin Durant was only there for about a month.
It's not that they don't win. They're in the playoffs. They win a playoff series. It's like they don't win enough for franchises that think it's not like they're coaching the Bulls or not the Bulls, coaching the Lakers or anything like that. It's one thing when the expectation is a little different, but I think greed may get them. And again, right now, the Suns and the Raptors do not have coaches. Nick Nurse, former Raptors coach, is now the 76ers head coach. Of course, Rockets hired former Boston Celtic coach Ime Udoka as the new Rockets coach. Anyway, so that's our Lawrence Hall headline report. We'll kick off a little bit with our Texas Ranger report. Our Ranger Insider has made it. We're going to check and make sure that we don't need to hire anybody to come up and do Mr. Miyagi stuff. We will check on him. We'll have a report from our Texas Ranger reporter right after this. We appreciate Lawrence Hall taking care of our Lawrence Hall headline report each and every week. Be sure you go check them out if you need a new, used car, truck, or SUV, or some service. Jim and those folks will take care of you, as well as Corey in the service in the sales department. When we come back, the Texas Rangers, hey, in first place, and they're a lot of fun. We'll be back right after this.
What's up, man? Good to see you. How you feeling? Good around?
Did you pick up a kid? Pick up feedback?
No, case of water.
Oh gosh,
It was more on the. I went to sit it down. So long history.
Mm. Got some Advil in my pocket if you need.
Well, I took some stuff.
Okay.
I have prescriptions.
Mm.
Are you going to be saying stuff that's off the
No,
rocker?
no.
Make sure we're rolling on this.
Yeah. You start talking like Harry Carey, the Will Ferrell Harry Carey. I know I would. Watch it down with a nice cool. He wouldn't say that today. He'd change it.
My favorite one is, Sandberg spelled backwards is grabbing ass.
Josh, there may be cheese on those.
Okay.
How's the kiddos, man?
They're good.
How old are the twins?
I turned 5 this month.
Oh man,
How about y'all?
they're good. We'll be seniors next year, man. Great. Here we go. I'm going to Tech though, so
Okay.
that's good.
He's already got that commitment, huh?
Yeah. Gotta do all the
Man showed me a picture.
Yeah.
I used to watch the coach yesterday.
Cooper just soft and mud.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look like a chocolate bunny that you
Yeah.
can get at
Yeah.
Easter.
Get going to Dairy Queen,
Looks
man.
like, how do you get that money?
Oh, he was rolling around in it. No doubt.
You should have seen the other guy.
Is Jamie coming in the studio? Just phone call.
No, they're coming.
They're coming in? Good.
Yeah. At least as long as they can find it.
No, he just moved to Holly. Did you see that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they moved to Holly.
I didn't know that was Robert Cheeks.
Yeah.
Son-in-law.
Yep. Did not be announced players of the month yet for May?
Not what I've seen.
I was wondering if Young would win Rookie of the Month again. And Baldy's big pitcher of the month.
That text reply to me where he's trying to send that to Weldon.
No, I meant that for you too.
Okay.
No, even though my texts go awry and weird, that was for you.
The laugh thing made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, I read that one. I was like,
What's your lap preference? Well, I like it on the left thigh. And no bony butts.
I was sitting at my desk and like, that made me laugh. And then the response just a few seconds later, like, question mark?
Yeah. What kind of show am I signing up for here, boys?
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between. Rocking and rolling. We are brought to you by Lytle Landing Cattle. Appreciate Lytle Landing Cattle, where you can get your Hodge Pack this weekend. Go see them and have a great weekend, enjoying some great food with everybody out there at Lytle. So go see them this weekend. Our guests do appear on our Pest Patrol phone line. We'll be checking in with our Buffalo Run folks. I've got different teams I know that are riding and racing. I don't know. I guess they're riding along. We'll give them a call a little bit later and see how they're going. Trucking along. Weldon already sent us one of a action shot of the pitter patter, rocking our Texadize Hodge Pack hats. Be sure you can head over to HodgePackSports.com or reach out to us on Facebook, and you can order one of those hats, and we'll make them available to you. We are now fully loaded. Again, Andy Penny joining us as Misty is on vacation. We rotate. It's like church. If everybody'd show up, our church would be packed. Last week, Josh was gone. This week, Misty is. And Josh, you came in a little.
Yeah, I'm a little
slow.
Yeah. So I've got a long history with the back problems. It started in 1995 on a tin trap that went awry.
Say that again.
I originally injured my back playing football, and we ran a tin trap that I was playing fullback, and somehow I beat the guard to the nose tackle, and then the guard ran into me from behind, and it like.
So the person that was supposed to be trapping didn't trap, and
I got it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I ruptured a couple of discs in my back, and
well,
then
Coach Sanford,
I randomly flare up when I.
You ought to be proud that you remember the play.
Oh, I remember the play. I couldn't move afterwards. I was like for a while. I was like,
So
I could be paralyzed, but I was not paralyzed.
So could you still run 10? I mean, you could still probably run 10 trap a day at 40 plus.
Well, I know where it could be.
Just
I don't know that I could get there.
There would be no way you would beat the guard today.
Not a chance.
Oh, again, but Josh is here. We're trucking along again.
First of all,
Go ahead.
you got to do a better job of selecting guest hosts because
No
they
doubt.
don't need to embarrass me. Like he's got a computer here. He's all prepared. I was listening on the way in today on the radio. I was like, I knew that Andy had a good radio voice because he does the football games. I've listened a few times. But it's like, man, I sound like a slap compared to him.
Well,
I'm amateur. He called in a pro, and now it's like I got to sit over here next to him.
well, we don't just bring in just people. Last week we had Trace Michaels, one of the legendary sports guys.
Yeah.
Now we bring in Andy, another legendary in Lubbock, now making his legend here. And so, yeah, we just need to be sure we show up next Friday.
I know.
We're
Some
here.
like there's going to be like Andy and Trace have their own show, and then we'll just be like, maybe they'll let us call in.
Yeah, but no, it is good to have Andy with us. And again, thanks to Trace last week.
You know, it was the breakfast burritos that sold it.
Yeah.
When Ryan had the call, I was like,
We'll give you a burrito.
Our budget's huge. We
We
got.
Sorry, if churches would, have breakfast burritos, maybe everybody would show up every day.
I know
True.
the donuts are usually pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, because they're easy to swing by and they're cheap, and they can be used next Sunday if nobody eats them.
Just throw them in the microwave for a second.
Oh wow, that tastes like last Sunday. But we are rocking and rolling, and it is again. Speaking of rocking and rolling, the Texas Rangers are doing just that, still in first place, 35-20 as they get come home off a little bit of a road swing last week, and so. Again, you're starting to see it, and I saw Emily Jones, who, again, Andy knows, and Emily's been on the show a couple of times. She basically said, it's almost like everybody's realizing we may be pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Right.
And it's like when Jordan Spieth, who is 3 under at the Memorial today, it had to be at some point where his parents go, he's not just a golfer.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good golfer, and now let's see what he can do. Now my question is, are the Texas Rangers a really good baseball team? And now we should stop being surprised like the Miami Heat and start expecting like the Denver Nuggets.
Well, yes, and it's one of those things. If you pay attention to, especially the national media, I do listen to a lot of MLB radio and pay attention to the MLB Network a little bit. We usually watch their highlight show in the morning, and watching that transition from the national media to kind of like, all right, the Rangers, they're kind of on a hot streak, but it's not going to last. But then, Memorial Day is the official day that you can start thinking a team is for real. That's like the if someone's off to a good start or a slow start, whether that's a player or a team. You don't really fret about it till Memorial Day, and then you can start saying like, all right, well, they've done this for 2 months. We're a third through the season, and when you're 35-20, on a pace to win 100 games, you can't sit back and say, well, they're just getting lucky, So, and you watch all the everything you read, all the little power rankings that come out have the Rangers in the top 2 or 3 pretty much across the board, and then. In general, it's just like there are some people that are like, all right, this is sustainable. It's looking good. And there are some that I was listening yesterday to Steve Phillips was the guy that does the leadoff spot, the morning thing on MLB radio. And, he's still on the doubter train, thinking that they're going to kind of come back to earth a little bit. But the thing is now, being 15 games above 500, the wheels would have to come completely off to not be a playoff contender.
And I was thinking the same thing because I'm a math guy. I'm a numbers guy. So they hit the
I can attest to this from Friday nights.
They hit the third mark. 35-19, 54 games in. You're a third of the way there. That's on pace for 105 wins if they keep the pace. Can they keep the pace? I'm not fully sold yet. I'll be honest with you. It's probably because of the last decade of management tough to watch as they declined from their 2 World Series. But on pace for 105. But even if they play 500 ball the rest of the year, at 16 games over, that's 89-73. You're right on. You might not win the division, but you're in the conversation for a wild card to get in the playoffs. So, I hate to stoop. That's how I used to look at semester exams in college. Hey, if I make a 32 on this test, I only get a B.
Yeah, it's still pass.
Same thing for the Rangers here. If they go 500 the rest of the year, that's 89-73, which should have them still in the conversation.
And that's kind of what I was thinking exactly yesterday. It's like. At the beginning of the season, if you looked at the American League, you'd say that 90 wins would be a playoff team.
Right.
You'd get a wild card.
Right.
And right now, they could play fairly poorly and still get right around that number.
Well,
so I think that's. I think
the other thing that you can look at is, unless in the same direction things completely change, the Central is only producing a division winner.
Right.
Yep.
Now. The wild cards could definitely very easily. It's almost like the NFL where we thought everybody in the AFC East or somebody was going to make the football playoffs. everybody in the AL East might make the playoffs because they're all playing pretty decent baseball. I mean, Boston, give or take, but everybody's above 500.
Right.
And so, but in that, I think that's one of the things that's beneficial for the Rangers is maybe their expectations. And we added players last year, and I was listening to a show yesterday. They felt like maybe the Rangers have one of the, if not the best, starting rotations. And again, you got DeGrom on the shelf for now. But in that, I think we are seeing how big of a difference, even in baseball, a manager matters in Bruce Bochy.
Oh, right. I mean, it's a culture change, and to bring in a guy that could have just stayed at home and prepared his speech for Cooperstown, decided to come back, and so two things to that. Like I said, it's a culture change. It's a guy that expects to win, and the other thing to that is he had to be sold that this team was for real to make it worth his time. So I don't. And somebody that has that kind of experience, and as soon as they signed him to come back, I was like, he wasn't desperate for a job. He wasn't, he didn't need some sort of like resume capper to put him over the top. He was there. He could have just stayed, like he doesn't get around very good. Looks like me walking out, but
He ran the 10 track.
Yeah, but
He had the same war injury, but I guarantee it was a wishbone.
but so it's not like it's comfortable for him. When you watch him walk to the mound, you're like, man, it looks like that hurts.
Well, because it's so, and we got time to talk about it. I always joke, I don't get to watch the Rangers unless I go somewhere. And every time
that might change soon too.
I know, but every time y'all mention they need to get him a car, all I can think of is the old bullpen car. And so
Big batter's helmet.
yes, that's all I can think
Major
of.
League.
Which now they
Yeah.
turned it into a big hat. But so it always makes me laugh when y'all talk about that. And then I finally got to watch a game. I was somewhere, and he had to go out to the mound. And Josh, you got up here faster than he got out there.
Yeah, I mean it's rough, but everything is going well. Like I said, that was kind of the exclamation point on the offseason that made me think, all right, they really are going for it, and they've got the team to do it. And it took a lot of things because at the beginning of the year, I remember us talking about this when we were doing the preseason stuff. We talked about the top of the lineup, being Simeon, Seager, Lowe, and Garcia. We were pretty certain we're going to be. I mean, they're quality major league hitters. So you knew that was going to be okay. And then the back half of the lineup was a lot of question marks. Because Josh Young came up last year. Showed that he maybe could handle it, but didn't do really well. He struck out way too much in his little brief stint last year. Jonah Heim had a good start to the season like he has this year, but he kind of fell off. So is he going to maintain that? We got to kind of look into that. But then it seems like all those complementary pieces that are just that back end of the lineup where Duran's out right now, but he looks to be the real deal, and having that step up and work. And Tavares came back from his his injury, kind of like delayed the start to a season, but he's batting over 300, and a guy that is fast and plays very good outfield defense. If that's your 9-hole hitter, you're in a pretty good spot, and so it seems to be working out. Garver should be coming back off the injured list here pretty soon. He's been doing his rehab assignment. I don't trust that he will stay healthy. He doesn't have a history of that, but when he is in the lineup, he hits a lot of home runs, and so it's like there's some up that's coming, and there will be some down. Some of those guys that Jankowski's played very well. That was a guy that they just, he didn't have anywhere else to be, so he showed up for spring training, and he's played very well.
But the bottom line is the product is good, and the expectation should be high, and not just assume that we're going to fizzle away.
Right, right. And as Andy mentioned in the break, I'm looking forward to seeing. I haven't seen it yet. The May awards, because Evaldi has a solid chance at being pitcher of the month, and Josh Young's still in that conversation to be rookie of the month 2 months in a row, which would go a long ways towards cementing that rookie of the year, which matters now because teams get draft picks for having a player.
Well, and that's the thing, and I know we got to go to commercial. We can come back and tie back into, but it helps that they're doing it in a way that is right. They didn't LA Rams it, go out and get everybody like the Florida Marlins did with Jim Leland. They're still doing it in a way where they're growing them and all the things. Speaking of growing them, we're going to see how close the pitter patter is growing right after this.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
You may not answer. See if Weldon answers.
Well, dude, their Facebook page is awesome, by the way. Who's Buffalo Run?
Oh,
Facebook
they've
page.
done a good job.
I got some good stuff on there.
All yesterday, never.
Did y'all go to the kickoff?
No, because it started raining. Like, I don't know what.
48 hours? Is that what it is?
I gotta go check my streaming.
Yeah, 40.
Uh,
Yeah, 48 hours to get there back. We're big Josh Young fans. We were in love with him. He was a big SCA guy. I love him.
No.
So we crossed paths with him a bunch. He was good with the boys. Good. But Drew was, I guess, junior high age at the time.
he seems like a good dude.
He's a good dude. He used to speak. He spoke about the SCA, small groups and stuff. His tagline was always, "Baseball's not who I am. Baseball is what I do." You know, talking about it's not my identity, it's what I do. That's cool. So, pretty cool.
Well, my boys are big fans of it. Luke, he wanted a Josh Young jersey. He was good for this year going into he got one for Christmas.
Amazing myself a little bit. My first year of teaching, coach was white. Your teacher. We in the same.
He's got an answer.
So MCA what brought you to Abilene? Okay.
Yeah, nonprofit world was part of it.
We'll call the other team on that.
That's just nonstop fundraising.
And then the construction part.
Talk to people about that with Young Life, FCA, someone
Wade, can you hear me? 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 Okay, hey, I'm going to bring you on the air. We're going to ask you how your ride's. Even though I don't know if they're going east. But joining us on our Pest Patrol phone line, we've reached out to one of the cars that is rolling along in the Buffalo Run Challenge. Some guys I work with. We got Wade, Kobe, and Chris. Wade, we called you. How's the ride going? Nice. So when did y'all start? When did y'all kick everything off?
We started at 6 o'clock last night, and we went to East Route up through Fort Worth, and then went up the valley to Cali, Kansas. Now we're headed back down through Dodge City, then we'll come back through Turkey, Texas to Buffalo Gas.
So were y'all able? What are some of the pit stops or the challenges? I know one was in Fort Worth. How many of y'all have done, and kind of where are you at on the challenges?
We've done every challenge except for we have to have a gunfight in Dodge City here in 20 minutes, and then we have to get in a phone booth at the Turkey Hotel in Turkey, Texas. That'll be done already.
So how has the travel been? Has everybody gotten their sleep? First of all, y'all picked a great time to be gone as far as not fun outages. So you picked a fun time to be gone. How has that been? How's the navigation? Everybody still friends?
But yeah, it's been amazingly good. For June, it's 60 degrees, and we didn't have to run the air conditioner, and makes the car run better. Driving a 40-year-old car that came out of an inbound lock, so it's been nice. It's had cool weather, and we've been putting her down the road 75, 80 miles an hour the whole way.
Nice. Well, hopefully folks are listening and there's no smokies that just heard that you're going too fast. But just real quick, is this the first time y'all done it, or have y'all done multiple?
No, this is our first time.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you being available to give you a call to see how it was going. Me and Greg Austin will be there tomorrow night for the welcome home party, and so we'll look forward to seeing you guys. And y'all be careful, and we'll see y'all tomorrow night.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right. That's Wade Hatch rolling along. We appreciate Wade. Now, Wade, y'all be careful, and we'll see you soon. All right, now we just got confirmation. So Andy and Josh, go ahead and get back on. We're going to call our pitter patter buddy. He was navigating is the reason he couldn't answer a while ago. So we're going to give Weldon a call. He'll answer. Here we go. 091. There you go.
You sure he's gonna answer?
That's what he said. He said, I'm ready now. I was navigating. Phone's ringing. Congratulations. You're caller number 2. Joining us on our Pest Patrol phone line, the man of Pest Patrol, Weldon Hurd, along with his pitter patter buddies. We got Josh and Andy joining us also, Weldon. So how's it going so far? Okay, Wichita, Kansas. How's the so trucking along? I asked the other group, we just talked to another car. I said, is everybody still friends? Everybody still good on this route so far?
Just trying to find these little stops along the way.
Yeah, well, and I was watching some videos last night on Facebook, and you said a little rain. It looked like there was a lot of rain.
Trip up toward Hamlin and that way, there was lots of rain. On 126, there were several places where the water was across the road. They had it flood here. There's a ton of rain. But, everywhere we're at, up here in Wichita, Kansas, sprinkled rain on us all day. So, it's good to see rain.
That is good.
Hey, Weldon, it's Andy. I think I saw a picture on Facebook. You guys were crammed in a phone booth somewhere. You and some guys. Did y'all all fit? How was that experience?
Oh, that was good. That was in Turkey, Texas. That was the Turkey Hotel, and one of the rules is you got to get your whole team in the phone booth. So it was just quite strange.
Well, and the thing about your team, and for those that don't know who all is on the Pitter Patter team, you're not a very short guy. Dwayne's not real tall. I mean, not real short either. But you've got one fella on your team that was about as tall as the phone booth.
Yeah, of course, we had that guy, he's kind of around with me, the old Cameron Wiley. And, of course, he served us well in the Air Force. And then got Dwayne Sloan, he's with Hagler Painting. And that's kind of the three of us. We've got a good program. We always have a deal where two people are awake at all times. So you got one driving, one navigating, and then one resting. And then we just, we're not on a time limit. Just when that driver gets tired, we'll switch out.
So now what I know tomorrow, again at Buffalo Gap, tomorrow is the return home and the celebration party and all that. Tomorrow is the celebration party and all that tomorrow. And when y'all return, and of course Hodge, myself, and Greg will be there emceeing the event. Do you know where you stand in the race? Is there an app that says, okay, we're in second, we're in first? Do you know where you stand among the other racers?
Not really. There is an app that kind of compares you, but not all of the racers signed up for it. So we don't know. I know that there's one team considerably far ahead of us right now, and a lot of the teams that came east took an opportunity to stop and check out a few of the finer casinos in Oklahoma.
Maybe they're
got to
looking
make the trip worthwhile.
Well, you got to get your $750 back from the car that you bought.
If they want anything, they were just going to donate that to Camp Able too. So,
all right.
It's always for a good cause.
Right. Again, the Buffalo Run benefiting Camp Able out in Buffalo Gap. Again, head over to campable.org if you want to give or show up tomorrow night, and you can bid on some random token that they pick up on the way that they got to auction off tomorrow. But Weldon, no doubt. So what time do you I don't know if that gives it away on where you're at. What time do you estimate that y'all should be back in the 325 tomorrow?
Well, I think we'll actually finish the run late Friday night.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. Well then. Did the team that didn't get out of Buffalo Gap, do we know if they entered this year? I know last year there was a team that didn't even get out of Buffalo Gap and went just straight to Pringles.
I think we had about 30-something cars leave. Before when you take off, they take off. And this year it was kind of different because there were two distinctive ways to go. So a lot of people went east, and a lot of people went west. So we're just now, getting into daylight. We're starting to meet some of those cars that probably went to the casinos or just hung out, got a room last night. So, but a lot of them, when we're going through Kansas in the middle of the night, we don't know who all we met there. So, but so far it's good. I haven't heard of anyone that broke down. That's a plus, for everybody to get home safe. And, it's just such a good event for such a great place.
Yeah, that is very true. Well, Weldon, we appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. You guys be safe, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. And again, Buffalo Run. You bet. We appreciate you as well. And y'all keep trucking along and eventually heading back, I guess, to be back south and we'll try to get Jerry Reed. Oh, he can't. He's no longer live. Southbound. All right. I can't think of anything else. All right, Weldon, y'all be careful.
Thanks, Wells.
All right, sounds good. All right, bye.
Oh, good stuff right there.
That's Weldon Hurd heading out.
Basically
They're
told me to
rolling.
shut up.
Well, yeah, he did, but I couldn't. I know they had to be southbound and all those things. And so, hey, when we come back, we're going to open up Misty's bag. I've got a question for Josh and Andy. I probably will not do it justice, but we're going to give it a whirl right after this.
The list you have needs one more thing. Stay for a couple hours.
That's it.
Who's counting?
Wait a minute. See if I can go to the doctor and get a little steroid or something. Information down. Got a big weekend. I can't be hobbling around.
Last thing you want is having to walk gingerly to and from a stadium and sit in not the most comfortable seats. Send a text to Jamie and make sure.
Think baseball got a chance this weekend?
I don't know. They're such a streaky team. They hit very well generally, but then if it doesn't show up for a particular game, that the pitching really can't keep them in. So
They should beat UConn today, I think. But I can't see them beating Florida twice.
yeah. How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, there you go.
Zach, good to see you, man.
Josh Green.
Zach.
Are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You seen Jamie? I just texted. Walking in downstairs. Hope you don't take the stairs. That's the wrong one. So what we'll do, Zach, we've got one more segment, and then we'll do y'all, and then we'll probably let you and Jamie share mic, and then Andy beat them all next day, and Josh can jump into.
I'll let y'all have it. Is that 8 o'clock?
We'll let you go lay down like Larry Bird did. Hey, on one of these, I want to go to break. And you're going to have to be on the fly, so let me tell you soon. Is to talk about First Bank and Trust.
Okay.
Kind of you'll hear. All right. We'll be back after this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good experience. You love it. You'll love it.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. As I have a hard time talking this morning, we are again hanging out in the Potosi Live studio. Be sure you check out PotosiLive.com. They've got a ton of shows coming up. One that I'm excited about is June 22nd, Confederate Railroad. Little Trashy Women and Queen of Memphis. A lot of good tunes. June 22nd.
Didn't you make that Misty's theme song? Or
Thought about it. We're working on getting the copyright, make sure they're okay with that, and she's trashy enough to be played.
the lead in?
Yeah, the lead in for well, we can't change her what's in that bag because it's absolutely perfect. But anyway, check out PotosiaLive.com. They got a lot of great shows all summer long. Of course, Spring Jam or Summer Jam, Giovanni and the Higher Guns and Wade Bowen. Of course, be on the lookout to see what they do for the 16th. As unfortunately Clint Black had to back out because of back surgery. So anyway, check that out, PotosiaLive.com. A lot of great shows coming up, and so be sure you check them out. So I didn't want Misty's bag not to be here. We always say in spirit. Who am I kidding? She's hanging out on the beach and enjoying life. So we're
still asleep.
Well, if she is asleep, she's been woken up by text from me and Weldon and you in that text chain. So, Misty, you're welcome. And so I started thinking about, still a question. And one, you kind of got in your notes, but the other one, again, Misty's bag is brought to you by Mulligan's. Again, congratulations to Kyle and them. They had their bash last week. I heard Fowler and Krieger put on a great show. And so, check out Mulligan's. A lot of the rain would be great for what's going on and hitting golf balls and obviously great food. So go check out Mulligan's on Ben Ritchie Drive.
Spring your butt spray.
I would highly recommend. Yes, you're going to want some off. So the first question I'm going to give you that's in your notes. We just talked to Weldon. Yeah, who am I kidding? I could have wrote you $100. You'd never see it. We talked to Wade. We talked to Weldon in two different cars. What do you think you would enjoy most about this type of journey, and what is the one you would not? Now, that's not my Misty's bag question, but that is a question I thought of because we've talked about doing it, and like everything else, we got to find a way to actually execute this if we're going to do it next year. But
I got a car.
Huh?
I got a car.
You've got a car, so that's a big thing.
I procured.
Okay, so
but then we didn't never do it. It's literally sitting in the cash.
So
3 flat tires.
Well, we only need to get 3, and we have one good one.
Yeah.
So what do you think you would enjoy most about the journey?
I don't know.
Andy, you can go next if you.
Well, no, because the whole idea of it seems pretty fun. Doing the whole road trip thing kind of reminds me of something stupid you do in college. Just load up in the car and drive somewhere. Like eating random junk food and then like farting and not letting them roll the windows down. I'd probably do that.
I'm saying a lot of these cars. I'm saying a lot right now. Yeah, I was going to say that's happening now because I guarantee it. There's some of those cars that
turn
do
the window
not
lock on.
I bet there's a lot of cars that don't have that option. They have the option to roll it up and roll it down.
But just the whole notion of it, just it seems, just like the whole thing. It's just an adventure, So there'd just be things that came along the way. And to that point, what I would hate the worst about it is just that same thing, because like at the end of something like that, like if you think back to those road trips that you've made with a bunch of guys that you pile into a car, and by the time you get back, you really need a fresh pair of boxer shorts, and it's like it stinks, and you're just like I just want to lay down, Like,
you noticed how I asked both of the cars. Everybody's still friends.
Yeah, right. Especially if someone gave you like bad directions and you end up, just like. I don't know, Dumb and Dumber style, broke down in the middle of nowhere. We went 500 miles in the wrong direction.
And then they come back on a motorcycle. Yes. They left in a station wagon. They come back on a motorcycle.
So that could happen.
Yeah, same thing. I think same thing for me. You can hear it with Weldon, just the camaraderie. And by the way, if you've not been to their Facebook page, Buffalo Run Adventure Challenge, there's some great pictures on there just to keep up with.
It is interesting.
And if you don't know the full backstory, I encourage you to go to Buffalo Run Adventure Challenge on Facebook. But yeah, the camaraderie there on the backside, knowing that I'm not a mechanic and knowing that these cars might have some mechanical issues along the way, well, that would scare me a lot. I'd be on the side of the road somewhere between Wichita and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, there's not a lot out there.
Well, I think the
Grass.
fun part would be just, and I know it sounds cliche, but just doing it, knowing that you're doing something that is out of the ordinary would be fun, and that you do hope you know. Weldon said it twice. Nobody's broken down yet. Nobody's broken down yet, so that's a plus. And so I think that would be the actual doing it and knowing that probably the prep leading up to of getting a car ready and having that camaraderie in between before you actually drove off. Because I'm sure some people, it's kind of like the parade of homes next week. There's probably builders, because we've had rain and had some stuff, that are having to do stuff on the Thursday before the parade of homes kicks off. I can assure you there were people that are having to do stuff Thursday or Wednesday or the day of before they pulled out and headed to Kansas on at 6 o'clock yesterday.
Some last second problem pops up and you got to.
Or they didn't think of X.
Yeah.
My other one would be the lack of mechanical skills and handy skill whatsoever, which leads to my Misty's bag question.
Okay.
You get 2 celebrities to go with you
On this trip.
Who are they?
Man. That's well, I mean, I'd say Burt Reynolds, but he's dead. So because this, if you took the whole, you were talking eastbound and down, you could go just take the Bandit, just go on your road trip.
That would be awesome if you could find a $500 or $750 Bandit car, and that was your ride.
I think the Trans Am is going to go from.
Yeah, especially that.
Go ahead.
I'm going to cheat on this one, and you segued it a while ago. Harry Lloyd. Who else can you go with?
Yeah.
I watched the movie like 35, 40
You want to
times.
talk about not adding any mechanic skills?
Yeah.
It would be Dumb and Dumber.
Well, yeah, and to that point, all those the other road trip movie that I loved growing up was Tommy Boy. So like, and how that car ended up through all of that.
And again, unfortunately, Chris Farley not alive either.
So I'll just drive by myself with the ghost of Chris Farley
and Burt Reynolds, which would be entertaining. That would come with a lot of entertainment. I wish I knew a mechanic from a NASCAR team, because he would be my first one. He would be my first person that I would think of. But Corey James, he's an official in town, has a State Farm agency, and he's got a guy that he played football with that works and is the gas guy for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Good one to have.
Yeah, but I don't know how mechanically he is, but I think you would want.
You think you could also change a tire?
Well, yeah,
Just maybe not as fast as the first string
True.
tire changers.
But this is going to sound again. Last week we brought up Seinfeld. I bring up Seinfeld this week, and it would be weird. But in Seinfeld, there's an episode where I can't remember the girl's name, but Jerry has a attractive date or girlfriend at the time, which is another thing because they never really have any dates. It's just always there was a new girl with George or Jerry. And he gets pulled over. Well, they first go into the movies. It's sold out. They send the good-looking girl up there, and they get in. He's going really fast, gets pulled over. Officer says, "I need your license registration." Nikki's her name. "Nikki, can you talk?" Nikki comes around, talks him out of the ticket, doesn't get a ticket. Do you think you would need like one good-looking girl to help you get out of tickets along the way?
Not if you got Burt Reynolds.
True. Or Buford T. Justice for that matter. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to do that. And honestly, maybe that's what the next level of Buffalo Run is to get Cody Cox and get some celebrities in on this thing. Of course, all these guys, like the Pitter Patter and the Country Squire and the Twin It to Win It, all those folks have become like celebrities. I was behind the I guess they live up close to where I live, or maybe they were just dragging it on 707. I got behind the Clark Griswold station wagon.
There were several station wagons I saw last year and then this year too, so that's I guess the car to find.
That's the car that's worth $500. They've upped it to $750, but again, so who your celebrities?
I got to go with Lloyd and Harry.
All right, he's going with Lloyd.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yep.
Yeah, and Josh is riding with some ghosts. And so don't bother him. He's not talking to himself. And if he's wearing a mask like COVID, there are people in there. They're just, he's not riding by himself.
I'm going to wear a mask.
Yeah, so no doubt. All right, hey, well, guys, that is our Embark Land Management hour number 1. We're going to kick off hour number 2 right after this with our Big Country Electric My Town segment. FCA All-Star Week is right around the corner. Busy week for not only Jamie but Zach as well, as everything kicks off with FCA All-Star Week next week. And so when we come back, our Big Country Electric My Town segment right after this.
Happy cancer.
What's up?
Happy cancer.
What's up?
How are you,
What are
buddy?
you doing?
Hey, just take care of business.
You look good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
How are you?
It's amazing what happens when you can spoon out. So is this like live or what?
Yeah, that's live.
Wow.
Oh, is this?
Yeah.
No, this is just a picture.
Oh, I thought that was like the race live.
No, somebody took a screenshot. That's probably an hour or two ago.
Oh, okay. That would be neat if you could like
Yeah.
keep up where they're at.
Good, man. You stress level.
Over.
Good.
I'll go get.
Y'all settle in?
No, man, we haven't even closed on the house yet.
Oh, you haven't?
So,
But you moved in?
no. So all of our stuff is stored.
Are you with Cameron?
No, Will Scott's mom has new, I think, a whole new trucking company, only Birds trucking company. They have a person job that industry called these in Kansas. And so I just go to horses after Airbnb and stuff, but I mean, so I have some time.
Yeah.
And they reached out and said, when we bought this property, I called them, said, we bought this property like yours, they did you and I. Like this, supposed to be the field.
Yeah.
And I met with them out there in the school, like 40 acres. Huge house, no furniture, beautiful, kind of rock with track. And off behind it has another house that was literally the Lang's house. And so part of the sale of that property is contingent on the owner, the previous owner saying, this house is your mission.
How about that?
And so anybody traveling through the people to say,
Yeah.
and so I know now so I know, man.
When you go close.
Latest June 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to get through this.
Oh, she's good.
How's you need them to jump in over here?
Yeah, are you?
Either way, you tell me.
Yeah, if y'all will probably go here with Andy's experience in it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to keep him on.
Yeah.
And you and Zach just share that right there. We'll talk about the season, talk about getting ready to play, talk about what you're going to do post, and then Jamie will talk to you about the whole week and what that looks like.
You ready? Yep. How's that knee?
Good.
I know it is. I saw that downstairs and like, well, yeah, so we're excited, man. It's a week to play.
Yeah.
No doubt. Never been here in my life. So cool, man. It's crazy. You know, the neat part about it is when Austin went into that end zone and corrected his neck, that's when kind of God gave me that snapshot picture of up in the road.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. It is time to kick off our hour number 2, Embark Land Management hour. I appreciate Embark Land Management and all that they do for the community. And if you need land cleared or anything like that, reach out to Danny McDuff. They will get you taken care of. Any kind of land work needed, they will do it for you. So be sure and give them a call, 325-668-7071, Embark Land Management. But you heard the song. It is time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, brought to you by Big Country Electric Cooperative. 3 amazing offices, Roby, Snyder, and Stanford, taking care of their members each and every day. So we appreciate Sarah and Will and all the folks out there at Big Country for supporting us from day one. We highlight a local player, coach, or program. Today we're highlighting a local player and program who's making a big difference and has a busy week ahead of them as the All-Star week kicks off. But joining us in our Potosi Live studio, Zach Flores from Roby and Jamie Calvary from Big Country FCA. So, Zach, appreciate you being here this morning. I know Jamie, big fella back behind you, who had to bend down and work the microphone. But, Zach, appreciate you taking the time out here. And how's the summer going and graduating, all the things? How are things going this morning?
Everything's been going pretty good. I mean, the railroad's starting to come around, so I'm starting to work for everything now. It's not just working out in the summer and getting ready for sports anymore. So everything's a lot different now, but good things are coming my way.
Oh, yeah. And I keep adulting's not near as cool as it seems like on the on the outside. But Zach graduated from Roby this year and getting ready, got selected to play for the FCA All-Star game. So tell me a little bit about what that means, that the group, the selection committee, again, Andy Penny joining us this morning, Misty's out, Andy joining us this morning, who had a lot of connection. Obviously, that's what Josh was talking to Andy in the break, what brought Andy to Abilene. But what does that mean, getting selected and as a senior getting to play football one more time?
It's a pretty good feeling because when you graduate and you don't plan on playing sports after high school, it's like, at least I get to play one more time, and because most kids don't get that opportunity. So when you get that chance, you kind of want to take advantage of it, and just the feeling of getting to play again, suiting up again, it's just something that I've always wanted to do again. I mean,
well, and talking to, of course, your grandparents go to the church that I pastor at in Rotan, and they were talking about. So you're kind of coming off of a knee injury, playing, kind of battling back. Josh is trying to battle his back in there in the green room. But talk a little bit about rehab and what percentage are you? Of course, I'm sure you're like anybody else. You're going to find a way to play. How have you kind of rehabbed to get ready for next Saturday?
I mean, kind of just going back to my roots, just working hard. I mean, my whole life, I've always been smaller than everybody, so I've always had to work 10 times harder than everybody. And just that mindset that I've always had is, you might be better than me, but you're not going to outwork me. So just getting back to that is kind of what's been helping me along the way.
And so there's a north and south, correct? A team. I'm assuming you're on the north. Okay, I would think. I know the Big Country's gotten bigger, and I was like, surely Roby hadn't got to the south yet. And so you're playing on the north. Have you gotten to meet any teammates? With social media, you can meet people instantly.
Yeah, I know there's one kid on my team, Bo Morrow from Erie County. Me and him used to go to school in Sweetwater together.
Okay.
We're in junior high, but
so Erie County is considered part of the north?
I'll tell you, football-wise, it's not north-south. It's actually a draft.
yeah, you get drafted.
It's actually a draft because I think one year all the quarterbacks were in the north and all the linemen were in the south. So
Okay.
For football, it's actually a draft. So you might actually have high school teammates on opposite teams during football, which makes it really fun.
Well, okay, that makes it a lot better. Really, who should do that, and not that it would make it any more entertaining because they just don't play hard. Is that the NFL would have done that for the Pro Bowl in some form or fashion? That would have been entertaining. So, who's your head coach? Who's the head coach of your team?
Westwood.
Okay, from
Snyder.
Snyder. Okay, yeah, Coach at Snyder. So I want to take a moment. All right, so Jamie, you're the kind of talk about what your role is at FCA and kind of what this years look like and what the next week's about to look like.
My role is currently the Big Country area representative for Abilene proper, and then I hit Clyde, Hawley, and then I go west, all the way to Westbrook in Colorado City.
Okay, so a lot about, does Kahoma fall into yours or no?
It's right in the catchment area of Permian Basin.
Okay.
Because that's their, they just started their own program. They're actually going to have their very first FCA All-Star Festival this year.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but don't get me wrong. I've been carrying envelopes out there and meeting those coaches for a couple of years now. So
right. Well, a lot of people back that way had a pretty good year. When you look at Lorraine, unfortunately, they weren't able. Lorraine, unfortunately, wasn't able to win the state championship because they had to play Benjamin.
Right.
And then Westbrook going back to back. And then last night or yesterday, Hermely winning a state championship in softball.
Right.
Congratulations to Coach Winters again. And then the reason I mentioned Kahoma, they also won the state championship yesterday in softball. So, so talk a little bit about the impact. We know what Jesus makes, the impact Jesus makes, but the tool of FCA that has made here in the Big Country.
Well, basically, it's about praying about who you go to visit has been really impactful for me. Praying about what campus I'm going to before I ever get there. And then, of course, starting fresh with the campus, coaches alerts, they're always up. The antennas all already up before you get on campus, and they're great judges of character, and they can read you just like they can read options and everything like that. And so, I think the most important thing I've learned is to be genuine, be authentic, not show up with an intention. A lot of the times, to show up just to be there, just to be around the program, and not ask for any attention or anything like that, and just come alongside them. Ask coach, hey, sit around for a practice, take Gatorades, snacks, whatever, because those boys work hard. They like Gatorades, you know what I mean?
And coaches like free stuff.
Yeah. And or the girls programs. And I've really meshed well with the girls programs as well, having a daughter at 7 now. Man, wow. It's just been really neat to unlock that gift in me to hit both programs. And so
Jamie, you and I were in the trenches together with FCA for a few years, and I had an opportunity to see the backside of this All-Star Week. It's year 24 here in the Big Country, which is football, volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, golf. I think we're talking 350 athletes and such. And I think the piece that maybe the general public doesn't understand is, yes, there's a game at the end of the week, but these athletes, these all-stars, selected all-stars, are under the FCA umbrella for 3-4 days. Talk about a little bit the lead up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into a game. And it's not just about X's and O's and practices, but the opportunity to invest in those kids over the course of 3-4 days.
Man,
it's what we do. It's the pride of the ministry.
it's really special when you can help a coach see their worth. It's a help. It's a blessing to pour into an individual player, to remind them that, hey, this is a game. You're practicing for a game, but it's really not a game. We're in a life or death situation. Meeting them where they're at, and the time I get to spend with them individually versus as collectively as a group is as vital, if not the most vital piece of it. Them coming to know Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior, because some come in saying, hey man, I'm good with Jesus, man. Me and Jesus are cool. But something happens through that week, through individual relationship with them and the coaches even, and modeling how to share your testimony, coach. Like, let me do this first run, coach, if you don't mind, let me run it. And then from here on out, you can select who you want to run these huddles from then on.
Well, and I think a lot of it, and we've talked about it, and a buddy of mine, actually give him credit for the saying, is I think a lot of times when we grow up in the 3-2-5, whether it's Zach, who's grown up in this area for a long time, I think a lot of us think we're defaulted into a Christian relationship with Jesus because of where we live. And the truth of it is that's not it. You've got to actually you've got to take that step and make it a personal relationship. And so I'm sure that happens a lot during the week. So when is the first? Like Andy mentioned, there's a lot more sports now. There's not just one All-Star game.
Yes.
When does really everything kick off?
It's already kicked off. I mean,
like when's the first game and when do players start rolling?
We do check in on Wednesday, so the 7th through the 10th. We're already prepping facilities, what to take in different places, and getting uniforms dished out to different areas for Brownwood and Concho Valley. Our football game here is on Saturday, 7 p.m. at Wiley, and then the volleyball game is at 3, I believe, that same day. And so it's kind of a back-to-back program that Wiley lets us do over there. So, of course, we're putting up all kinds of stuff and getting everything ready now.
And Zach, I want to bring you back in. So we're talking All-Stars, but you got connected with FCA somehow out at Roby. Talk about your experience. I know you and Jamie are big buddies. Your experience with the FCA ministry through Roby.
Well, this year was the first year this was my first year in Roby, and this was their first year of having an FCA. So, and then I was the president this year of our FCA game. So, it was a major impact on me just this year, just because it's something that I can go back to and say, well, I helped start this in Roby, where kids that think that they don't have anybody to talk to, that they can always go to FCA leaders in Roby, and that it'll always be there in high school. High school's rough for a lot of people. So knowing that you have people there that are there to look out for you and pray for you, and you have God by your side throughout it all, it's just something that really sticks with me, and it has stuck with me throughout the last 4 years of high school. So
Great stuff.
it is a really important thing to me.
And again, encourage folks to give and to participate. What are you looking forward to besides being the last time you put on some shoulder pads and helmet? I mean, I guess you could put them on later and play in the front yard with your sister, but what are you looking forward to most about next week?
Probably just to show people that whenever you triumph and if something goes wrong, don't ever give up. Because this year has been rough, but I've stuck through it throughout the whole thing. And God He humbled me because I've always felt like I was like the top dog ever since freshman year. But this year He showed me that there's more to life than sports. So just giving me the opportunity to play again and show people that through injuries and battles in life, there's always a good to the end of it if you stick with God.
So what's the plan post graduation?
I'm trying to go back to Roby and be like an aide and volunteer with sports and be like a student coach and do school online. But I want to be a coach after I finish school.
Good
for
stuff.
sure.
Good stuff.
That is awesome. Well,
/ minister, because I'm already trying to get him on staff.
well, again, Zach, I appreciate you and Jamie making the journey. Go ahead.
One final comment. The cool thing about this, what I think you'll see the Robies versus Rotans, you'll see the Stephenvilles versus Brownwoods. They all come together, A-High versus Cooper, whatever. So that's really neat. And for Jamie and I, who've been buddies, just backstory, he's a Mark Panther. I'm a Lorena Leopard, which were rivals back in the day, and they still are. Mark might have more state championships, but Lorena has the most recent state championship. Just want to throw that out. Get a little shot of Jamie Calvary this morning.
You're still going to be a leopard.
but still going to be a leopard. Ironically, leopards were not great in the Bible. But we are glad, again, appreciate Jamie and Zach coming on board. Check it out next week. Playing at Wiley next week instead of Shotwell. Shotwell's still doing a lot of their renovation, which we're hoping is done so that we're in a nice booth for the Wiley Cooper game in the end. But again, Zach, appreciate you coming and sharing a little bit of your story and continue to look and see how the Lord uses you not only today but throughout the rest of your career. And it's pretty cool to see what you've done. I know I can say this because I know your grandparents see them every Sunday. They're very proud of you. You've done a great job, man. Appreciate you being here this morning. And Jamie as well. All right, guys. When we come back, we're going to check out who owns number 44. And we talked about numbers, or Andy did. He's got some numbers that might shock you. But who owns number 44 right after this?
Willing and the Big Country, Keith Glover here with
Good stuff, fellas.
Resources Incorporated. I'm here to let you know about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickup, purchase, or we accept drop-offs.
Here,
at our
Josh,
state-of-the-art
you can take mine.
facilities. Our folks at DRI, or better known as the DRI Shredders, are here to assist and serve you in the disruption of the most private documents or just those annoying stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years. 232-6868, or come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did. And I know the DRI Shredders for the stats.
Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for coming in, man.
Robert Chief is my father.
Yeah.
Blessed day.
You too.
Yes, sir.
Anything this week?
I may holler at you. I know.
I feel Hardcastle coming.
Yeah.
Zach, enjoy
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Zach.
See you guys.
Did you do your random thingy? I know you probably didn't listen last week. I know you said you tried to. And I don't mind if this is said on Facebook. Trey said he found a site called ranker.com. I'm so proud of myself. Because every bit of me wanted to revert back to the 12-year-old kid, ranker.com, and apparently it's a site you can go and you can rank things. But
As the name would imply.
you better spell it right, that's all I'm saying.
Not linker.com.
No, you don't want that.
That's Hodge's other side.
I feel like our segments are heavy, or does it matter?
Heavy?
Like,
Well,
instead of 10 minutes or like 15 minutes, or does it matter? Does it really matter?
no.
Okay.
Let's do fewer segments.
Well, once he gets his commercials in, I guess.
Yeah. We usually do 4 segments an hour, with the commercial in between. But I do think we did go long. Well, that one was real long. It's already 8:22.
Yeah.
So we'll just do 2 more.
I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always shopping for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listen to you.
So I stepped out. He works for us here.
Yeah, okay. He's a rep.
Okay.
So my role, I was the director. So I was primary fundraiser.
Mhm.
He's a rep, so he's out in the schools.
Okay.
He's the youth director. Quote,
Okay,
youth
right.
director. One of the youth directors. I was the administrator. He was boots on the ground. See, I didn't specifically serve in the system.
Right. So does he have a campus or multiple?
Oh, multiple. He's Abilene proper, Clyde, and then he goes west, Hawley, all the way to Sweetwater, Snyder.
Oh, okay. Big.
Roby, Roscoe. Oh, yeah, it's probably 25.
I got a doctor's appointment at 10 o'clock, which is I'm glad I got one this morning, but 10 o'clock's a terrible time. I'm done here at 9. Got to go over there at 10. I don't know. I don't know.
Look, you can learn how to edit the podcast.
Oh, I need to go to the office.
Oh, yeah, I need you to.
I might leave early. I don't know. Let's see what time. What this next segment is. Sorry, 8:22. 24. I don't know.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Brought to you by Lytle Landing Cattle. We are rolling along, hanging out in the Potosi Life studio. Our Pest Patrol phone line has been lighting up as we've reached out to the Buffalo Run folks, as they are some in Kansas, some still stuck in Oklahoma.
They're not stuck. They're gambling.
Yeah. Well, you got to know when to fold them and know when to hold them. And apparently they're holding on in Oklahoma. Don't forget tomorrow at Buffalo Gap, I believe at 4:30, they're going to have kicking off bands for the Buffalo Run Challenge street dance and celebration, an opportunity for you to participate and be all the things. So be sure you're there. Like I said, Greg Austin and myself will be emceeing that tomorrow night. So go check it out tomorrow. But it's time. We've been doing this, and it's been a lot of fun. I can't emphasize enough for you to go buy the book. Got Your Number by Mike Greenberg. We've been going through picking random numbers. Josh has found a way to pick a random number.
It's called randomnumbergenerator.org. It's a long website.
As long as you don't miss typing.
And I don't know why it's org, but it is.
It's a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's
nonprofit giving back to all those.
That one a number.
Maybe it's a number sense fundraiser for UIL. All those numbers. But we've looked at numbers last week. We looked at number 14, which Pete Rose wore, and we had our special moment with Misty and Ethan last week. Again, Misty's on vacation, enjoying, I'm sure, the Hodge Pack by the beach. Because you can listen to the Hodge Pack and KLGD anywhere in the world with KLGD1069.com. And so, Josh, your number came up with 44. And so before we land on it and tell our folks who 44 is, because the person that owns it, I think we agree. Did you? We talked yesterday because
Yes.
I know you don't have the book yet.
Right.
That was the first thing when I hit the number generator and it went to 44. I
You
was
thought
like,
of this
Hank Aaron.
first. Okay, Hank Aaron.
Right.
Which,
But it's also one of those things that then I thought a little more. I was like, well, that's also Jerry West, which I'm not a basketball guy, but like
He is the logo.
he's the logo.
He is
Like,
the
you know,
logo.
like
Right.
so. I mean, a little
But-
competition,
But again, I think Hank Aaron is one of those, because there's other folks in the book that how that individual is related or resonates with people is different.
oh right,
76 is John Madden. And because of the year that that was anyway, John Madden 76. He resonates with some
not even a
people.
spoiler alert.
Well, I'm going to get to my point of why I
Just
said
messing
that.
with you.
76 is him, but some people think of him, if they're old enough, as the coach, if they're in the middle, broadcaster, and if depending on video game.
Yeah,
guy.
now it's just video.
It's a video game guy who's literally making a lot of money, not alive.
Right.
But
to
Hank
that point,
Aaron,
Hank Aaron,
44, there's still a lot of people, whether it's Drew, Cooper, younger people, that aren't going to think of Hank Aaron. But I do think he's still relevant and still the man, if you will, that he still resonates with a lot of folks.
well, he does, and he's one of those the transcendent talents on the field. Obviously, if you look at just his numbers, he was a 25-time All-Star and got MVP votes 17 different seasons. So you think about that's not just longevity; it's peak longevity, and that's crazy. Obviously, we know that to some he's still the home run king, and that's is what it is. But I mean, he hit a lot of home runs, and he was the home run guy for a long time. But then you also think about the fact that, like in career WAR among hitters, there's only a few people ahead of him, and it's Babe, Barry, Willie, Ty Cobb, and then Hank Aaron. So we're talking, like if you put together an all-time team, he's on that, and led the league in home runs numerous times, led the league in batting average a few seasons. So he wasn't just a power guy. Never won the Triple Crown, but he mixed and matched his RBI lead, home run lead, batting average lead. But he was good in all three categories. He's the real deal.
And another layer for me, from a class and demeanor standpoint, the way he carried himself. If you think about Hank Aaron, there were, in the day and age he played, segregation was a big thing, and there were a lot of people who did not want Hank Aaron to break the home run record.
Yes,
They wanted Babe to keep it.
Babe was American Pie. I mean, let's be honest here. They did not want Hank Aaron to break that home run record. And the way that Hank conducted himself and carried himself through that, and the pressure of that, and then after breaking the record, the way he carried himself, that speaks high quality of a guy like Hank Aaron.
It really does, and that was going to be my next thing. He was transcendent on the field, obviously, but he was transcendent off the field in the fact that, like, he was born in the Deep South. He went to play baseball in the Deep South in '54, which if you do your math, that's only 7 years after Jackie Robinson came into the league. So he's still towards the forefront of blacks even being allowed to play Major League Baseball, and then to do that in Atlanta, which I guess it had kind of higher even meaning because of the segregation and things that were going on, the riots and stuff that went through the 60s, and how he was part of that civil rights movement without really seemed like alienating himself, I guess, and so he carried that very well. And then he made a lot of people, I guess, open their eyes to having a black guy, be the face of the franchise, be their favorite player, like all of those things that nowadays we take for granted. But that was a big deal in the 60s.
Well, you hit on it, and then you continued in the book. This is what it says in the book. Leading up to all those things, he says, Aaron lived in constant fear of being assassinated. The Atlanta Journal had an obituary prepared just in case. And as he approached the mark, Aaron received over 900,000 pieces of mail, much of spewing hatred. The only American to receive more mail was the president. So you talk about how people didn't want, and how unfortunately our country was at the time then, of him not wanting to break the record. And so, but you look at some of the other cool stats. Josh mentioned where he falls on hit wise. but he was the first player to both reach 500 home runs and 3,000 hits, and he was selected as an All-Star in 21 different seasons. His 21 consecutive seasons as an All-Star is the most in history of any of the All-Stars, MLB, NFL, NBA, or NHL. And so, of course, I think when my first thought of Hank Aaron is the footage of when he broke the record, and Craig Sager being the one running out there trying to interview and like, sir, what are you doing here? But you think about that record, and Josh, you mentioned it, a lot of people that disagree with Barry Bonds, and that's a whole other topic.
I find it interesting just that with that, the I guess evolution of that story, because obviously there were people that wanted Babe to be the home run king, and that bothered them. And then there you fast forward to early 2000s, and there are so many people that were upset that Bonds was going to pass Aaron, and so Bonds, obviously by his own doing and not due to the color of his skin, but Bonds was going through that same scenario, of like it just people hated him, and kind of tainted some of that. And I remember obviously being there and watching that and kind of just taking part of that and thinking how much that meant to a lot of those people that. And some of it I don't even necessarily think is all rooted in racism. I mean, because there are some people that were obviously alive that saw Babe as a kid, and now they're an adult, and this guy's like bursting their bubble. So it's not necessarily that you're a racist. It's just like Babe is still the best. I can't let somebody else be the best. And so that was obviously the case with. Well, we saw that with Roger Maris is on the 62 home run deal where with Judge. Well, they were supportive of that, but they didn't like that Sosa and Bonds had passed and Wire, yes. And so there was all these different factions of people.
Well, and
so
I think the other thing about it, and again, we all three agree, Hank Aaron winning and earning 44. We mentioned Jerry West. But I also think the other thing that people look at, yes, 3,000 hits are great, stolen bases, but we look at the home run as a sacred record.
Right.
I mean, another record that's not going to get broken. Ricky Henderson's stolen base record, it's secure. It's secure. But we look at the home run record like that is king. And it honestly would be the same, and it would be the exact same, but it's not going to ever happen. I think if somebody in our state, if somebody was approaching Emmitt Smith's record, Nolan Ryan's record, we would be tight.
And that kind of ties into the more you know, sir. Knowing half the battle. We'll talk about that later. But the yes, you would be like,
we would not want the person.
You would be actively like hoping that they didn't get it.
It'd be like my buddy the other night who put money on the over, and he needed 116, and the game ended at 115. Yeah. He was not happy.
We don't want anyone else in the 5,000 strikeout club.
Right,
there's
exactly.
only one guy in there.
We don't need anybody else. Hey, that's great. 4,099 is perfect for you. We don't need anybody else.
Hey, trivia question for you. You mentioned the footage. Do you know who caught Hank Aaron's record-breaking home run? Somebody caught it in the stands. Do you know who that was?
I do not know.
Former Rangers pitching coach Tom House was in the Braves bullpen.
Oh, okay.
And he caught it on the fly. So there you go. A little trivia question for you.
Kept it, donated it, or is it in Cooperstown?
I'm assuming Cooperstown. I don't know that part of the trivia question.
Well, nowadays that'd be worth more than his salary for the year. So
except Monty Williams' salary in Phoenix or in Detroit. All right, well there you go, Hank Aaron. I don't know why Aaron Rodgers is on my mind.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is very weird.
Freudian connection to Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna grow a man bun. All right, when we come back,
I wish you could, because that would make you laugh.
Oh, my wife wish I could. There's not enough hair there. But again, Hank Aaron owning number 44. Go check out the book. You got your number again. Mike Greenberg, Himbo, great book. A lot of insight, a lot of fun stats in there that you can enjoy. When we come back, we're going to have an opportunity for Josh to share that, knowing it's half the battle, and we'll see if Andy's ready to know half the battle. We'll be back right after this. Fine, knowing it's half the battle song.
I'll do this segment, then I'm gonna go to the office. I'd rather make an appearance before I go back to go to the doctor.
I had honorable mention, man. I was going to bring up John Riggins just to stir the pot.
Yeah.
Redskins. You know.
John Riggins was the other one that I mean, he's not really an all-time great, but he's probably the highest.
What would you
Number
what did you
44
say the
football.
Nolan Ryan connection at 44?
Nolan's seventh no-hitter. He was 44 years old. I looked at Tom Brady to see when the Bucs beat the Chiefs at the Super Bowl, but he was 43. So Nolan Ryan was 44 when he was seventh no-hitter. And in the Super Bowl 44, Saints beat the Colts. Drew Brees won his.
His research is like astute.
Nah. But that Super Bowl wasn't great. That was Drew Brees.
So B. Rose was in the book for 14. I didn't read that, and when I saw that, when I did read the rundown, I was like, I thought we were doing 44, and you said 14 was last week. I was like, well, that's B. Rose, but I didn't know. But
We did it so we could. I organized for Ethan to call in and talk to his mom for graduation, and he wore number 14.
That's cool. I saw those pictures of her. Oh, choked up.
There was
so
one that
it was strategery.
Yeah, it was planned. All planned.
How old are you? I'm 43. 43, okay. Because you were going to make the 44 list.
Yeah, I was
Before we throw our back out. I said 44.
What about yourself?
I'm 45.
Okay.
45? Because you're a 96er, right?
Yeah,
I'm the old guy.
he's the one that keeps me young by not letting me be the oldest person.
One more segment, two more segments.
We've got technically two.
I'm doing one in there. Yeah. I gotta,
That
this is the
last.
first and the last. That's okay. Something.
I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always driving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listen to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorites like nachos and fajitas, and adding more small plates for the light appetite.
Come on, AET.
This wasn't the same booth that you were in last time
No.
I came.
No, we were across the hall. Yeah, it's a lot better now.
Yeah, because you look back to the north, I guess. I mean, to the south. Now you're looking to the north.
I'd like to get a few things shelf-wise and decoration-wise and get something behind them.
When you rent this office space, or how do you just rent the airtime? This is the state. Yeah, maybe they have a staff. Do they have a DJ here, or is it all playlist?
No, we have the old battle guy, Sprint.
He's running.
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. We're rocking and rolling here in hour number 2 with Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. We've had some Buffalo run. We've had a ton of stuff going on. A couple of things to remind you about of our Lawrence Hall Headline Report. Again, the Denver Nuggets win game number 1 of the NBA Finals, 104-93. Monty Williams just got paid by the Detroit Pistons, $78.5 million 6-year deal, largest coaching deal in NBA history. And again, congratulations to the Hermanly Lady Cardinals and the Coahoma Lady Bulldogs winning state championships in softball yesterday for the big country. Congratulations to them. A couple other things, the Memorial Jacks tournament happening in Ohio. Davis Riley, early leader at 5 under, and Matt Wallace 4 under. Jordan Spieth has already started his second round. Shot a 3 under yesterday. And I wanted to mention this in the rundown, and we didn't get it in the Lawrence Hall Headline Report earlier, but it shows you that golf is hard. Poor Billy Horschel yesterday, and hats off to Billy for interviewing. He shot at 12 over 84 yesterday, and really kind of got emotional yesterday, and so golf is tough. So I hope Billy has a better round
Do you
today.
even go back today if you do that, or you just go ahead and go home?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
you're guaranteed that day. It's going to be hard to make a cut.
Well, but for what purpose? That's what.
Well, I mean, maybe you can play loose and hopefully just play better and maybe start something as the U.S. Open's 2 weeks away, and so you definitely want to get ready for that. So one of the things is about knowing you have to battle is you don't ever quit.
Sometimes, better part of valor.
That's true. And technology seems to be quit.
Well,
So Josh, knowing is that
technology and Hodge just don't really.
we don't jive. But for the record, Josh, knowing is half the battle. So take over.
Okay. Well, as you know, we try to just help you through some of life's little tough situations that you might need a little guidance. And this is one of those that sometimes I need some help with, because I was reminded about this while watching baseball with my boys. Okay, so we have teams that we like, and we have teams that we don't like. And this is why I was talking about when you brought up, like, if someone was going to pass Emmitt Smith's record, how you usually like rooting against them. But the thing that you have to keep in mind that it's very easy to just switch into straight like hater, and I don't think that that's a good place to be. So my advice to you is I guess you got to try to manage that dislike of a team and just push that into the positive of what you do like about the other team. So for example, we don't like the Astros around our house. We really actively don't want them to win games. But at the same time, you don't really wish harm upon them. Like if you start you don't celebrate. I mean, they've had some pitchers that are injured and stuff like that. You don't celebrate that. I mean, that's not something it goes beyond just being sportsmanship. That's just being a decent human. So how? And this is a question I'm gonna throw to y'all, and I want to get some of your input here. So let's say, all right, you're watching a baseball game, or let's even go do football. You're watching the Eagles play a football game. Okay, they're not playing the Cowboys. You want the Eagles to lose. How do you think it's best to go about that while trying to be a good example to your children and so forth?
You put me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. So the Eagles are playing, let's say, just for the points of it, just somebody like, I don't know, the Cardinals. No dog in the fight.
Are we talking like a September Sunday, or are we talking like week 17?
We're talking. This could be the difference in the Cowboys winning the division and just getting the wild card.
And so how should I handle that?
Yes, like how do you watch that football game actively wanting the Eagles to lose? How do you watch that?
Gracefully?
Well, that's the thought. But where's that line? Do you just celebrate their every downfall?
Well, I'm gonna risk this real quick. I think that you've got to find a way to do this. You got to make sure you have good positive aura, block the good, harness the bad. So
isn't it harness the good, block the bad?
I don't know. We want to do one of those two things there.
But so how do you do that? Because I think if you go straight hater, it's not good sportsmanship. It's not a good place to be.
But you could hope for turnovers.
Yeah.
You hope for Billy Horschel type days from Jalen Hurts. I don't want him to get hurt, because the other thing is, used to, if they knew you had an injury, they would almost say, "Hey, we know he's got a bum ankle.
Yeah,
figure out what we can do there.
Take them out.
Sweep the leg, Johnny." So I would be, first of all, I'd be disappointed that we would have to be relying on Kyler Murray to win that game. Number one. Number two, that would be my thought. Like, come on, Cardinals. We've got a new coach. We've got nothing to lose because they're
positive towards the Cardinals.
Yes, because the Cardinals, are not going to be playing for anything back in week 16 or 17. They'll be done by then for sure. So they got nothing to lose. They've got a Friday like Billy Horschel just to go play and have fun. And so I would be cheering really hard for that to take place. And I don't think it's bad hoping that Jalen Hurts has a bad game.
No, I don't think that's bad, but it's how you express it. Like you have to be so graceful. But for example, and my boys were already asleep, so they're not around for this. But I had one of these moments last night because I was watching the Astros play the Angels, and I was sitting there thinking like, I don't know that this could be any worse for me to like. I don't know what like. I really dislike the Astros, but I don't want the Angels to make a move and be a threat at the end of the season. So it's like, yeah.
But
so
the good
like,
thing is this weekend you maybe split because you want that because the gap for the Astros and the Rangers is smaller than the gap for the Angels and the Rangers.
So on one hand, I want the Astros to lose every single game they ever play, but then on the other hand, if they get swept by the Angels and the Angels get hot, like they're doing, they're going to threat. So at the end of the year, if the Astros do their thing, it's going to be close. But if you have the Angels also in the mix, and that's one more spot that you have to fight off for a playoff thing. And so then I caught myself, the bases were loaded and nobody was, or one out, and the Angels were down by 2. And so I'm like hoping that they score some runs. And then Mike Trout hits the weakest pop up to the shortstop that I've ever seen, but after the previous batter was retired, so they didn't score with the bases loaded. And then I was frustrated. I was like, "Why am I cheering for the Angels? This is bothering me."
Well,
so I was just
but you look at that. The other thing is like earlier this year we were talking about the 3-2-5 that had a really good run in the state championships in football. One of those was Albany and Holly.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is Albany won first, and Coach Abels talked about how all of Albany came to watch and cheer on Holly in football.
Mm-hmm.
But the irony and the struggle is they're not in the same district in football. But then when they get to basketball, they're battling and competing in probably one of the toughest rivalries in that district. And then you just wonder how, because we
that's
see
a whole
that.
other thing. I don't like the 2 separate districts things.
Well, I mean, it's size.
I know.
It's size of
I know.
people.
I mean, I get it, but
Right.
why does it matter in basketball and not in football? I'm confused by that.
Well, a couple of things come to mind. If our team just wins, we don't have to.
Oh
worry
yeah,
about
you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be a hater.
Dallas, let's
Right.
go.
Yeah, you don't have to be a hater.
No, let's
But
go.
but that's the thing. If you are a hater, that's annoying. And you've got to find that line. But if you're just actively, I mean, you see it all the time, I guess, with like the Longhorn stuff, with people with the like upside down hook 'em horns thing. It's like, is that your only like? You're not cheering for your team. You're just cheering against the Longhorns.
Well, and
like,
I think,
what's the
and I think that's where you look at, and we saw it in the women's NCAA tournament. What level of trash talking or jarring is accepted? There's unspoken rules in baseball. Plunk somebody in the booty or in the leg or something like that, and it's fine. You start throwing a 90-mile-an-hour, 100-mile-an-hour fastball to somebody's head, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so, but we've also seen that, and think we've got, thank goodness, not a lot of time left.
Thank goodness.
Because of this segment. You mentioned it in the hater part. We've seen 2 Major League Baseball guys who have expressed their disagreement of certain things, in Bass for the Blue Jays and Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers. And how they did that, in my opinion, was a lot gracefuler.
Gracefuler?
If that's
more
a word.
More graceful.
I think anywhere, if you can add a bull, if you add a bull or to a word, it becomes one. They handle it well. Some people today are handling certain things they disagree with not gracefully, but hatredly, and that's where the issue is. And I know it's a little different than competing against
but
people,
it is
but
kind
it's
of the
similar.
same. It is the same basic thing. Like I feel like as Andy said earlier, the more grace you handle the situation with, the better you're going to be received for one. But just being all out hater doesn't really help. And really, I just think it shows a shallowness. Like if you're more cheering against a team than for another one, I think that just shows a shallowness, and you need to not do it.
Right, and I agree with Andy that you need to find a way to just make sure your team keeps playing well and taking care of business. Hopefully, the Rangers will continue to do so. and hopefully we will not have the Eagles issue. And we shouldn't, because based on track record, nobody's won
No one wins
back-to-back
it back-to-back,
NFC
but
East
that'll-
titles.
It'll be a test this year, but we
Be
got
the
a lot,
first
lot of
time.
time to football season.
Well, we say that. OTAs and camps are rolling right along.
Almost here.
All right, when we come back, Andy and I will wrap it up. Josh is going to go get his back better, and we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
That was fun, though.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
Hopefully see you before. I
Yeah.
know it's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Where are you?
Josh is now the skinny jean pant wearer worship leader in Lawn Baptist.
There's a lot of people out there, right? Yeah. Gibsons are out there.
Yeah, it's funny. It's ironic, I guess. When we first went out there,